असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Yes, good evening, friends. I welcome everyone to this webinar on automation, artificial intelligence, and IoT in construction. Friends, since we are committed to bring the knowledge of modern technology to the members of our construction fraternity, we have arranged this webinar with the help of premier institute like IIT Chennai and the world leader in construction equipment, Schwingstater India Limited. First of all, I'll welcome our beloved President, Shri M.E. Mohan, whose inspiration and active support, it only makes it possible for us to arrange such webinar after webinar. I also welcome all BI officials, senior members, our contractor and builder friends, many consultants who have joined for today's webinar. I can see some government officials, including Mr. Pandurang Jadhav, who is Mission Director for Amrut in Government of Maharashtra. And so I think it's time we start the program. I welcome everyone here, and I'm sure we are going to have good knowledge from today's two speakers, Mr. Koshi Varghese and Mr. Gautam from Schwingstater. So I request Madhu to have the auspicious beginning of the program. Mr. Madhu?
Yeah. No, prayer, we have finished. We are done with the prayer.
You are done with the prayer. Okay. So, sorry. Then I didn't get it. I request our beloved President, Shri M.E. Mohan, to address the gallery of our participants.
So, unmute yourself, sir. Sir, okay.
Dear friends, good evening. I wish you all a belated happy Diwali. As President of Builders Association of India, I consider it as my honor to address you all at the inauguration of this enlightening conference. As you all are aware that the whole world is passing through an unprecedented crisis due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and business have been hurt very badly. With the government's easing restrictions, things seems to be coming back on track as regards resumption of business, including construction activities. It goes without saying that COVID-19 has thrown up many challenges to all, particularly to the business community and to the construction industry. Lot of methodologies have changed as regards the way we live, the way we do business, etc., and it being called the new normal. Automation, artificial intelligence, and Internet of Things are already there in the Indian construction industry and are expected to be the new normal in future. I thank the BA Mechanization and Modern Technology Committee Chairman Sri Shakti Kumar and Co-Chairman Sushil Agarwal for arranging a workshop on automation, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things in construction to enlighten members on latest developments. The construction industry is one of the oldest business that humans developed. Effectively, all other industries rely on the construction to create their infrastructure and architecture. It is a determinant of how and where people live and work. Even after being so vital and impactful in our daily lives, the construction industry has been comparatively slower than various other sectors to embrace modern technology. It is only now beginning to undergo a much required modern transformation. The modernization of the construction industry, one of the major opportunities for investors, innovators, thought leaders, and professionals. Today, architecture, urban planning, and designing are some of the most promising areas that can impact the economy and the environmental future of humanity. With the increasing digitalization of human interaction and the exponential reduction of the time frame at which people are adopting new technologies, we can expect swift unfolding of the fourth industrial revolution. According to Global Construction 2030 PwC, the volume of construction output will grow by 85% to $15.5 trillion worldwide by 2030, with three countries, China, US, and India, leading the way and accounting for 57% of all global growth. Architects and builders are changing the way they think about designing and building cities by utilizing multiple aspects of Internet of Things. Technologies like AI, 3D printing, robotics, big data, and virtual reality are being used to bring in the revolution in the construction industry. Internet of Thinking is being used to solve issues at various levels, from complex multifactorial issues to uncomplicated design alterations. There are so many applications of IoT used in the construction industry, but here I want to mention about augmented reality, which is an extremely popular application of IoT. It has already displayed great results in many industries. The construction industry has been using it for some time now. In AR, 3D models are created and combined with all building data. Users can wear an AR device and then they get to experience it in real time. This tool has improved efficiency, safety, collaboration, and overall returns on a project. It is being used for numerous reasons at a project. Most common applications of AR documented project.
काय रे बाबा आपलं इंटरनेटचं काय झालं
With AR and BIM, labor gets to train by simply using a headgear. They can be trained for drills and other safety scenarios. They can also be trained to use equipment like boom lift and cranes. I am happy to know that today's workshop's eminent speaker, Sri
हे आवाज चालू राहतो रे काय म्हणलं खबर आपलं इंटरनेट आहे ना आपलं
हो आपलं इंटरनेट आहे.
Madhuji.
Wait. Arey, he went out. He logged out. Raju sir, Raju John sir. Raju sir, unmute yourself. Raju sir, unmute yourself. No, Raju John sir, unmute. Raju sir, unmute yourself. Acha, Agarwal sir, you go ahead.
Okay.
I think you are going to.
Welcome. Sorry, I introduce Mr. All those speakers today. Yes, sir. Yes, friends. So I'm very happy. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce Dr. Professor Koshi Varghese from IIT Chennai. His education, he has been BE in Civil Engineering in 1986 from Anna University, Tamil Nadu. And software for design of reinforced concrete elements. Here, he did his, under Mr. Santa Kumar, he did his MS in Civil Engineering in 1987 from University of Texas.
Agarwal sir, Sushil sir, I think Mohan sir has come, President sir has come.
Yes, sir. We'll continue.
Sorry for the break.
No issues, sir.
Almost I have concluded my speech. And best wishes and thanks to all. Please be safe and take care. Thank you very much. Sushilji, you continue.
Yes, sir. So thank you very much for guiding and us all and throwing light on the importance of today's webinar. Yes, it is very much essential for everyone to get familiar with the subject of automation, artificial intelligence, and IoT in construction. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce Professor Dr. Koshi Varghese. He did his BE in Civil Engineering in 1986 from Anna University, Tamil Nadu. Then MS in Civil Engineering in 1987 from University of Texas, USA. And then he did his PhD in construction management in 1992 from University of Texas again. In the subject was automated routing of large vehicles in industrial construction sites under Dr. J.T. O'Connor. He has from 92 to 93, he has done postdoctoral fellow, University of Texas.
I would be
93 to 95.
Mr. Agrawal, that will be a very long time it will take if you go through my biodata. So I can give a very brief self-introduction. Okay,
Yes.
so basically I'm currently a professor at IIT Madras. I'm also Dean of Administration. I've been in the construction management area for the last close to 30 years, mostly working on automation and construction. Being in India, I've certainly worked on several other areas, also with the construction industry. But I'm privileged that the Builders Association has invited me to give this talk on a topic which is dear to me, which is, IT automation, Industry 4.0, which is the current avatar of what we would call, the information technology revolution overall and specifically with respect to construction. So since the late 80s, I've been working in this whole area of IT and construction. I've seen the whole area develop, from design perspective and from construction perspective. I'm happy to share over the next 20 minutes, at least some of the work we have done at IIT Madras in this. I'm not, presenting to you a state-of-the-art project, on these areas, because I think that a vendor can sometimes, give you something what it is. I'm going more from the research angle on this presentation, which is probably, something which the Indian construction industry should more support. So with your permission, I can share my screen and start.
Yes, sir.
I assume you can see the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you very much again. So this is basically my title, which is basically Future of Construction. A lot of what I'm going to focus today is on Industry 4.0 or the technologies that lead to it. Without a doubt, any other area of automation or which is of interest, I will very briefly cover, and I will try to limit myself to about 20-25 minutes, as it was as suggested by the organizers. This is the outline of my presentation. I will talk a little bit about Industry 4.0, some of the frameworks that cover the whole area of automation and construction. Like I said, I will focus on the ongoing work of projects at IIT Madras because that's where I think we are all involved. There's definitely a lot of futuristic kind of work going globally, which I think all of you can find on the web, but I just wanted to focus on the work being done here and then certainly a look ahead. So if we want to understand the term Industry 4.0, I will not spend too much time on this, but I think everyone is familiar that we had the first industrial revolution and then multiple industrial revolutions, and each of them looked at either it's mechanization or we looked at the mass production line. We came to computer and automation, and now the fourth revolution is going to be what is cyber physical systems, or what the Germans call it the Industry 4.0. It is also known as, like we discussed, cyber physical system, Internet of Things, smart factory, Internet of Services, and probably we should call ourselves smart construction. Are we going to we talk about smart cities, we talk about smart everything, right? Smart villages, all of that. Are we going to get smart construction sites? I think that's the question which we need to ask. And I think, as many of you understand, we are on our way towards that. Many of the things which we had to do manually are automated today. And as technology starts ingressing into the construction site, more and more automation is going to take place in many fronts. Now, we are familiar with what we call the connected world. Today, all of us use Google Maps in some sort of way. We have stopped looking at the paper map. We don't need to use telephone directories. If you remember, we had very thick telephone directories. All that is gone. We hardly have, we don't even have paper maps. Everything has gone digital. And even in the home, whether you have Alexa or, all of the different tools, everything has gone digital. I mean, you can place your Amazon orders through Alexa. You can do this. You can, just voice has become your medium of interaction, or your camera in your house door recognizes you and opens the door, because that's also become intelligent. Now, how much data analytics has done. This firm has gone out, but we'll have to see what happens with this. But again, here is a Dilbert cartoon, which kind of shows that we are probably going towards this immensely sensed environment where everything I do is sensed. Today, if I do a Google search on a particular item, tomorrow I get an advertisement for that because Google knows that I searched for it and I probably want it. So all that data is going to go out there. Today, our employees swipe in, swipe out. We GPS track our vehicles. We look at what is so much of our data is gone online. That is what our everyday world has become. And has this happened to our construction sites? Has this happened to our work processes? In manufacturing, you'll find smart manufacturing is today reality, not the state of the art globally, but even in our factories in India, where there are several factories which the workforce is reduced to probably 1/5 or 1/6 of what the workforce is because of automation. And this is not just the physical workforce, but also the office workforce. Question is, should construction go that way? Will construction go that way? How can construction go that way? So what are the benefits? If you look at it, with all this highly interconnected world and all of the data exchanges, we expect improved efficiency, agility and innovation, shorter lead times, which will always improve efficiency, and reduced costs. Ultimately, we definitely want to reduce cost. Okay, that is our bottom line. And as contractors, if we reduce costs, that means more profit. As clients, if cost is reduced, that means, again, more profits for the client. So I think it's a win-win. In any case, win-win. Reducing cost is a win-win. But if we look at from a productivity point of view, construction cost has been going up. Okay, so most of the other industries, you can see productivity has been increasing. In construction, productivity has been decreasing. In our Indian context, we look at, we have started measuring productivity only recently, and we look at it, it is steadily declining. We say worker skill problem, we say worker availability problem, we say weather, we say so many issues, coordination of subcontractors, whatever the reason, our productivity globally has been decreasing. And this is an issue. Can automation and digitization help with this? I think most of the other industries have got orders of magnitude of productivity increase because of the digital technologies that are adopted. So construction industry definitely is unique. We tend to work, like you can see here, in silos. We have different groups that look at different aspects, and the end result might not be what the client actually wants. And we have a multitude of terminology we use, and from project to project terminology changes. So definitely the construction industry or the project management which we have to do is not like manufacturing. It's much more challenging. And if you look at some, a client wants a requirement. So this is a picture of the internet which says that, look, finally the design probably got done and the craftsman who fitted it did not know how to use this toilet. So this is what the result of that. Now, is Industry 4.0 the solution, or what does it do? So if you look at the way we've progressed in computing since 98, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but many of you have seen how computers have slowly crept into our workplaces, and things which we used to take, which we think could not be computerized, have been computerized today. What I'm presenting here, the slide you see here, is a framework which is called a fully integrated and automated construction project, where everything from project planning to design to procurement, the job site and maintenance is a scheme for how it can be automated and how it can be done. This roadmap itself is about 10 or 15 years old, but still very valid. And this is a roadmap that's used by the US industry as a roadmap for automating construction, all facets of construction. In another way to put that roadmap is to put something like this, where if you look at a construction site, we have several pieces of automation, whether it's your tablet, which is where you're getting all your data, or you're getting an automated crane, or site sensors, intelligent excavators, robotic products, different innovative building products, even high level of prefabrication, so that things are not factory built and put on site. And all of this is kind of a construction site of the future kind of a thought. Now, if you look at another way of looking at the technologies, I'm putting this as something which has been put out by PwC. You see there are a host of technologies that can contribute to what we call the Industry 4.0 of construction. There are a host of technologies. I think Chairman had mentioned about augmented reality and wearables. Yes, that's also identified. We look at the mobile devices we use. Yes, that's also identified. Cloud computing, different types of IoT platforms. Some of you must be familiar with 3D printing, or you might have seen the 3D printing working. That is also covered in this. Smart sensors, big data. There's so much that is happening in this space that to actually cover all of these areas would be probably a whole day workshop. But what I'm going to do is to take a few of these and try to cover them with very, very brief examples to illustrate what they do. The first one I'll cover is smart sensors. I'm going to take, so again, something like an RFID or accelerometers or strain sensors was what I'll cover. And I think some of your projects might already be using RFIDs, but probably in a very, very rudimentary way. Some of the larger projects have started using RFIDs for supply chain. Here is a small scale example of how RFID can be used for prefabrication. So what you see here are RFID tags tagged onto a model, a prefabricated model. And as you scan a component and install it, the BIM file will be updated. So as and when things are getting updated, you'll find that the physical update is actually of the BIM model is the same as the actual update of the real structure, because of RFID being able to track what is being done. Okay, so this is something which we did quite a few years back, but the technology, we see a few sites are able to use it, but I think there should be something that has become fairly routine, especially with supply chain and RFID based systems. Here is another application of RFID where now when RFID doesn't perform well with metal sometimes because of interference. So here you have pipe spools on a refinery project, and you'll notice there are lots of pipe spools which are normally spread around the refinery project. And sometimes searching for them can be a problem. Specific spools are only go into specific lines. They cannot be interchanged. So in this project, what we did was we used an active RFID, which is a transmitting RFID, which you can see a much larger reader. And we were able to not only identify pipe spools, but also locate pipe spools on Google Maps and Google Earth and say, so if you were looking for a pipe spool and you entered where it is, what the pipe spool is, it will show you which location the pipe spool is. Okay, so the construction team does not need to search for it. It can easily get it. Go to the location and identify it. Now, here is another technology, which is accelerometers. So today, all the cell phones which we are carrying, smartphones have accelerometers. What we thought was we tried to install accelerometers on construction workers. We actually did it with masonry, we did it with iron workers, we did it with carpenters. And you can see, I am assuming the video is visible. As the worker is working, the sensor records the accelerations at his waist level here. And the challenge has been to see whether we can predict what he's doing based on these patterns. So if I carry a cell phone with me and I'm working on a construction site or an accelerometer, end of the day or almost on a live basis, I can interpret what the worker is doing. Is he doing plastering? Is he doing bricklaying? Putting brick? Is he doing alignment? Is he carrying bricks? So this level of activity, so accelerometers are very cheap. They can be easily calibrated to do this, in which case by the end of the day, I actually know how productive or what kind of effort went in from each kind of worker. So this is another way of use of sensors. Another example of where we use sensing was to put strain gauges on our launching girders. We worked on this with Larsen & Toubro. We instrumented launching girders with strain gauges, and it is the same thing. So now you know that what the launching girder has been doing. This was on Hyderabad Metro, to be able to find how productive the launching girder is, where does the time go, what is it wasted based on the structural activity of the launching girder. Now, I'm going into a little bit into augmented reality and wearables. As it was mentioned, this is a very hot technology, so rapidly evolving. We have done this, we have used it in many areas in construction. Our latest application, which I don't have here, is been for safety training. Training workers to work safely, because in augmented reality, if they have a virtual accident, that is okay. So if they make a move that is not safe, they will, just like you play a computer game, they will have an accident in the augmented reality environment, and they are then learning from that accident that they should not do things like that. So I don't have a video of that system yet, but this is something which we did recently as a prototype. But the potential for augmented reality is enormous. I will touch upon this in my last slide as to the options we have for this. If we go for location detection, again, this is an issue. Here, so obviously, when you're working indoors, a GPS cannot tell you the location because it's indoors. Here, we actually developed what we call a smart helmet. We have put a Zigbee system into a helmet which can record and locate each worker. So if you have a site like this, you will exactly get which worker is at which location on the site. And based on the location, then you know where your workers are, what they're doing. Are they spending most time in the work area, or are they carrying tools around, material around, or are they going to the stores often? Are they going somewhere else? All this can be done with this kind of a smart helmet kind of a system. Now, this is another way of being able to track workers. This is a vision. If you have cameras on site, to monitor site, these cameras can also be calibrated. They need a little bit of image recognition, which is some form of artificial intelligence to be able to locate where the worker is and also assess what the worker is doing. So, but of course, you need better camera resolution to be able to do such work. If we go to mobile devices, I think everyone here is familiar with mobile devices. Whether it's your tablet, whether it's your cell phone, whether it's drones, I think it's definitely, getting images out of this and getting basic data out of this has become, what would you say, everyday affair. It has become so common to fly a drone around and get a nice picture, or take cell phone photographs and send it on WhatsApp as to show progress. The question is, can I get my quantity measurements from them? Do I still need to fill a daily progress report with quantities, or can I use my cell phone or drone and actually get quantities, daily quantities? That is the challenge we've been working on. We are also using another technology called stereo vision cameras. These are very cheap. They give you stereo vision. So you're measuring three-dimensional quantities, which is otherwise not possible with a two-dimensional camera. And in addition to this, you will find the new iPhone, for example, has LiDAR technology in the iPhone itself or the iPad itself. Now, as the phones get smarter and the phones get more powerful, we might not need to use stereo vision. We might be able to go directly to the cell phone. But the question is not to just get a photograph, but to get a quantity takeoff. So here you can see we have taken some areas where we have actually able to digitize. So you'll have to actually, just as we have all learned in surveying, some kind of triangulation has to be done. You have to take the image, take the 3D depth and triangulate it and calculate volume pixel by, cuboid by cuboid or trianguloid by trianguloid, the volume, and be able to calculate quantities. This is something that is still in kind of an ongoing work for us. But we are able to detect progress of construction, be able to put it into a volumetric scale and be able to actually calculate quantities during progress. 3D printing is a large topic. IIT Madras has been working on it for the last 3-4 years. Again, I'm not going to go too much into detail, but we are coming out probably in a few weeks with an announcement of a 3D printed building which we have built. There are many technologies for 3D printing. I'm only going to kind of go by these slides to show you that they can be, like a printer which is on a gantry like this, 3-axis printers, or you can have a robotic arm printer. This is just a boom placer which is also doing printing, programmed to do printing. Or you can have like a KUKA robot based printing. You can have different customized robotic printing. All this is possible with 3D printing. But what we have is actually developed as a more simple XY gantry printer, which is now scaled up much larger than what you can see on the video there. That's larger and might be in a few weeks, you'll read about the work we have been doing with this. I'm briefly touching upon other parts of automation also. So this is something that's not in the slides. I included it just this morning. This is an automated bricklaying machine. And if you go to the website which I have given here, you will see what this group has done. It's an Indian group that is actually doing block laying in an automated way. And it is not 100% automated. The beauty here is that you still need probably 25% of the workforce, but all the heavy work, the back-breaking work is done by the machine. Only the skilled, the finely skilled work is required by the craftsman, which means the productivity of the craftsman goes up tremendously. This machine, I think, should be available in the market sometime soon. But in addition to machines like this, I think for demolition, there are several, robotic technologies that are used for demolition. For hazardous demolition, also like nuclear demolition, there are different kinds of machines that are used. So when you go into the area of actually robotics and physical work for construction, it's a host of other technologies are available. Like I said, due to limited time, I'm not getting into those details, but I'm sure that you can find these kind of information that is available to you. Now, now looking at what is wrapping all this up. So we looked at a lot of technologies which are relevant to IoT, but when you get into the core, what all these technologies do is produce data. You have to be able to process the data and you have to be able to reason with the data. Only if you can process and reason with the data will the results of where will we be able to use all of this for some kind of business decision making. And if you look at what we've just covered, some of the technologies we covered, all of this is data. We need a brain to be able to process this data. And the brain actually comes from the AI techniques. So for example, if you have all these patterns coming, how do I recognize whether what the mason's doing? I need a bit of artificial intelligence processing to do it. The vision system here, the worker is moving around. What is he doing? How do you process and kind of come to conclusions on what is doing? You need an AI-based system here. The vision system here, how do I calculate whether something built is actually a final part of the building or not? I need some kind of a neural network-based training system to do that. So all this data, all the statistics, all the processing we do will be meaningful only if we have big data coupled with artificial intelligence to be able to take us to the next level. Now, so when we look at it from a perspective of industry, how do we get here? What do we need to do to move towards these levels? And one of the biggest drawbacks we have is that so if you look at other industries, they're very, very quickly adapting these technologies and moving forward. Without a doubt, those industries are not as unstructured as construction, but also do realize that our people are not as well trained in some of these technologies. So lack of digital culture training has been identified as the biggest problem in construction industry adopting. This is again a PwC finding. It's the biggest problem in the construction industry being able to adopt these technologies. We need talented people. We need them to be able to not just use commercial products out of the box, but be able to customize it a little bit to be able to adapt to our conditions. And that is what is required. And being what do you say, an expert in digital construction becomes paramount importance. And ultimately, we need business intelligence. All this has to be able to make your projects more profitable. Otherwise, what's the point? Just technology is one thing. It has to be profitable. So this is where the business intelligence comes in. And ultimately, you need a combination of people, skills. The people have to be involved. You need business processes which are very efficient, and you need to bring in the technology. Okay, only a combination of this can actually result in successful, cost savings and productivity. Now, before I end, I just wanted to touch on this topic. We talked about different augmented reality systems. So especially with respect to the Indian context, what we have found is, yes, you can buy a Daiquiri helmet at 10 lakhs, which gives you a phenomenal augmented reality kind of experience. You can buy a HoloLens, Microsoft HoloLens at around 2 lakhs, program it, do this, pretty good augmented reality experience. Or you can buy what we call the Google Cardboard, the Samsung Gear. You already have a smartphone. Can I couple that with my augmented reality experience? I think some of the challenges we are working on today is to be able to, for the Indian industry, is to be able to address it with the frugal approach. Because only if we do that, will we finally be able to make a very strong business case for it. Because we can invest in technology just for the sake of technology, like we discussed, is not what we want. We want to invest in technology because it adds value to us. So if I'm going to make very large monetary investments in something that will be outdated in a few years, it is difficult to justify. We need to be able to bring in the technology at a much lower cost level. And I think that's the role that Indian industry, Indian research has to play, because this is what is applicable to the rest of the world. If you look at the African industry, you look at some parts of the Southeast Asian industry, you look at some parts of the South American industry, they are not relying on high expensive state-of-the-art technology. They also need, basic technologies which can deliver these things and not some very high-end stuff. It takes time to develop the more rudimentary basic applications, but I think Indian industry can show how this can be done. I think it's similar to our space program, for example. Even as an emerging or developing country, we were in the space program. These are the things I think which we can do well, and we should take it forward to do well. So with that, we look forward to a construction site, which is more automated, more labor friendly, more information friendly, which will enable us to be able to work effectively and move. And, for all of our graduates who are graduating in civil and construction, construction site should be an exciting place for them to learn, work, and be able to build good facilities. With that, I'm ending my presentation. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Varghese. Dr. Varghese. Now I'll introduce Shri Gautam A. He is at present Deputy Manager of Electronics and Automation in Schwingstatter India Limited. He has done his specialization in business management in digital economy from IIM Raipur. He has 14 years of hands-on experience in industrial automation and cloud solution. I request Mr. Gautam to take the charge now. Mr. Gautam. Yeah, Mr. Gautam.
Mr. Gautam, unmute yourself.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Koshi. It was
And video also, your video is also off.
yeah. I'm just presenting myself. Just a moment. Yeah. Can I start presenting? Good evening, everyone. Hope my screen is visible. And,
Yeah.
Thanks to Mr. Koshi for his wonderful presentation on the recent technologies and then whatever the happenings whatever the projects that is being conducted in IIM Madras. So I just Schwingstatter doesn't require much introduction, so I'm just skipping on to the basic introduction. We have 5 manufacturing facilities with more than 1,600 plus skilled employees. And we are coming out with a new factory facility near to Cheyyar, which is a state-of-art technology. So there are few products where we are working on artificial intelligence or cloud-based solutions or even automation for that sake. So there are products like batching plant, concrete pumps, transit mixers, boom pumps, and shot creating machines. These are the products which I just wanted to touch upon in this workshop. So as Mr. Koshi rightly said, automation, it's not that automation, whether we are implementing automation or not, but at what cost. So the automation cost should be reasonable and it should be easily able to implement by everyone. So if we give a justification for this, then it is an easy process for implementing the automation solution for the entire industry. So as everyone knows, the construction industry is the most rugged industry, one of the rugged industry. So whatever we develop or whatever the sensors or whatever the automation solution that we provide, it should be more rugged and then it should withstand to the temperature or the climatic conditions where it is going to work. So I've just categorized today's presentation in 3 major areas. One is the common challenges which we are facing in the construction industry. And the second one is the cost of automation and its benefits. And third part is cloud solution. So when we talk about the challenges that we face, I've just taken a few areas where it requires more attention. So the very first part is safety of the site personnel and the equipment. So when we talk about the safety of the site personnel, so in today's world, getting a trained or technical expertise for the workforce, it's very difficult. And also when the error happens or when the mistake happens at the site level, it is very difficult for us to manage the situation or the losses will be very huge. So to address this particular area, there are AR and VR, that is augmented reality and virtual reality based real-time training simulators, which was developed and then which was in place. So these can be used for giving a training for the operators before putting them on the real-time situation. So before making them to work in the field, so we can just make them to sit on the simulators, and then we can just give a hands-on experience. They'll be having a feel like they are working with the real machine. So when they are completely trained on this area, so then these people can be put on the machine in the practical field situation, and then this they'll be able to get an idea how to operate the machine. The second point is the risk factors. Say for example, many of the construction sites are not properly secured, or even many of the places the sensors or the protective systems are bypassed. So say for example, you can just a moment, I'm just so you can see here. So in case if a conveyor is running, and then if somebody by mistake tries to climb, or somebody tries to adjust something on the conveyor when it is running, so it will create a fatality, or there could be a possibility of accident. So there are smart sensors or smart switches available, where if somebody tries to access this particular area or restricted area, automatically the signal will be sent to the centralized system where the automation system, that is a PLC, is located, and it will entirely either stop or it will pause the entire operation. So thus by we can easily avoid the accidents. Then when we talk about hardware failure, so this is again one of the challenge that we are facing in a regular basis. So in case of hardware failure, as we know that we cannot maintain the concrete workability for a long time. Yes, there are admixtures, there are chemicals which are available, but it could support only for a defined period of time, even asphalt for that case. So in case if we have application where these criticalities are there we can have a redundant system. Say for example, there are backup systems available. So when the main system gets failed, automatically a redundant system will come into picture, and then it will back up the entire operation. So again, as Mr. Koshi has rightly said, before putting the operators, or before putting the workforce into the practical field, we can just give the hands-on training for them, and we can just make them to realize how things are working. And that is one case. Second is, before even completing the construction, we can able to visualize how this building looks like, or aesthetically how it will be. Even for this, in this particular case, you can see it's like a finished constructed building. So we can easily find out where with augmented reality, we will be able to know where the pipelines are going, where electrical lines are going. So once the building construction was over, it is very difficult to figure out which route it was pipes were laid. Though there are drawings, so not 100% the drawings are followed. So with augmented reality, this is possible. And when we talk about safety, this is one practical example where these boom pumps are operating in a site situation where there are four outriggers in this particular equipment. So when we extend all the four outriggers, this boom pump can operate 360 degrees. So when the area is restricted, you can see at the bottom, the right side boom outriggers cannot be extended due to the space availability or uneven surface of this particular area. In case if this operator by mistake also, if he tries to operate the machine in the right hand side, the stability of the machine will disturb, and then automatically there is a possibility of accident. So here we have implemented a smart sensor and then smart controllers. What it does is it automatically detects the angle of this boom rotation, and it will automatically stop the operation once it reaches to the maximum limit. So thus way we can easily see every time we cannot depend on the operator to act proactively, or we cannot 100% rely on the end user. So the system itself was designed in such a way that the system will not allow to work further, so that accidents can be avoided. So the next topic is we'll move on to the power and fuel management system. There are two types of systems available. One is electrical, the power electricity based system, and the other one is IC engine based system, basically a fuel. So when it comes to electrically operated systems, the government has the government is taking so much of initiatives in reducing pollution, and then improving the efficiency of the motors, and then the power shortages, all this for these things, the government is taking so much of initiative. So in the construction industry already we have implemented IE2 motors, which will have a more efficiency with respect to power usage. Not only that, also when we produce, say for example, when we are using this particular motors, or when we use the electricity power for producing concrete. So when we calculate with the energy module, energy based modules, so easily we will be able to calculate what is the power used and what is the cost per cubic meter. All these calculations can be easily done. So these can be achieved with the help of automation system. So when you see at the bottom, this is the PLC system where the smart energy meters are installed in the PLC system, and whatever the power that is being drawn by the entire system is being continuously monitored. So next, when we talk about the fuel management, the biggest challenge in the industry is the fuel theft and the malpractices that is happening at the site level. So we have advanced level sensors like guided wave radar sensor, and then guided wave ultrasonic sensors are available in the market. So which can be easily integrated with the existing system, so that we'll be able to calculate exactly what is the fuel consumption in case if there is a malpractice or if there is a pilferage, easily that can be identified. All these system will be connected through a centralized system to the server. So whatever happens in this particular equipment or particular engine based system, it will be recorded, and then we can backtrack it. So then we'll go to the productivity and the quality and the efficiency of the equipment. So when we talk about productivity, so one possible way of improving the productivity is, as construction industry has a lot of scope for improving on improving the productivity, or there is a scope for automation even in a better way, because most of the systems are legacy systems and there are more human intervention which is required for completing the operation. So by implementing a PLC based system, we'll be easily able to increase the productivity, and thus by the quality also will be ensured. So when there is a human intervention, the concrete or the whatever the product we are making, the quality or the repeatability will be completely depends on the person who is involved in that particular work. But when we automate, the entire system or the entire process is completely dependent on the system, and the system will completely reproduce the product as per the design which it was intended for. So this is another system when we talk about concreting equipment. So the system is the area that it covers is very huge. We cannot keep eye on each and every part of the equipment. So this SCADA system gives a complete overview about what's happening in which place. Say for example, if aggregate is getting patched, automatically here the operator will be able to visually, he can see that the material batching process. If the sensors are opening, automatically these indications will be changing from orange to green. And when concrete is getting discharged, when screw conveyor is moving, all these things can be visualized, or all these things can be visually seen by sitting inside the cabin without even going inside the field and then to monitor everything at the field level. So even what is happening at the mixer, so the current that it takes and whether the concrete was properly mixed or not. So everything can be seen with the smart sensors which is being installed in the equipment. So then comes the traceability of the equipment and connectivity. So this is another biggest challenge where whether we have connectivity in the complete network. That is the biggest question mark now, but still we are working on it. And there are new service providers like Jio who are offering more features and internet at a lesser cost. So the scope for internet connectivity is getting increased now. So let's say in case if we want to completely connect the entire range of equipments which we own into a centralized system. So considering these small cubes or individual databases like individual equipments, so these equipments in turn is connected with the centralized system, that is HO. So say for example, we have some 10 or 15 equipments in different locations, different geographical locations. So we just wanted to ensure that everything goes well, or we just want to monitor everything. So we just have to network everything, and then through networking, we'll be able to easily have two-way communication. Either a recipe can be transferred from the centralized system to the end batching plant, or even whatever the batched data or whatever the consumed material, those informations can also be sent back to the server, to the HO, so that the physical presence at the site level or everyday calling a site personnel to get the information, these things can be avoided. So again, this particular example is for a stationary equipments where this particular equipment will work on the same site for 6 months, 7 months, or even more than a 1 year period. But when it comes to a moving equipment, so mobile equipments like a truck or a boom pump, so the application itself calls for a regular transit application. So there we will be installing a GPS device. Thus way we will be able to know where this truck is exactly working. Say for example, when the truck is loaded, the normal operating speed is 60 kilometers. In case if the truck is operated at higher speed when in the turning areas, so at that point there is a possibility of instability, and there is a scope for there is a possibility for accident. So these things can be monitored, and these things can be recorded at the back end in the server, so that if something goes wrong, or even if we wanted to calculate at what if whether this particular driver or the particular truck has efficiently operated, these informations can easily be traced, and then it can be recognized. So now we have seen the common challenges in the construction industry, and there are possible solutions through automation and then through smart sensors. Now, whether see, for any case, automation is possible, but the biggest question is at what cost we are offering this automation solution. If the automation cost is very costlier, or if the cost of automation is expensive than the manual process, then nobody will be intended, or nobody will be interested to go for it. So just to give a brief idea how to just calculate, it's just a thumb rule. We just have to calculate what is the equipment with automation, the equipment without automation. If the cost of the system is lesser, then we can easily go for the automation system, or otherwise it is always better to have a manual system. There is no compulsion that we just have to implement automation by force. But of course, there are advantages like productivity and then quality improvisations. And this call is completely based on the end user requirements. Say, for example, here I've just made a small calculation. These numbers are just for reference. There is no, this is not referring to any practical equipment, just for reference. So say for example, if equipment is having, there is no automation in the equipment. So basically we are calculating the operational cost plus maintenance cost, and the PL is nothing but the product life. So say for example, this is per year. So operational cost per year is 50,000, and then maintenance cost is 20,000 for 5 years period we are just considering. So if there is no automation, of course, there should be a workforce which is involved in this particular task. So considering 12,000 rupees and for a month, and then for 5 years, it is computing about 7,20,000 rupees. So overall, it is coming about 10.7 lakhs. So let's convert this particular area into a with automation process. So this process remains same, this operational cost and then maintenance cost. Of course, there is a difference in operational cost for without automation and with automation because of the time. The operational cost, there is a possibility or there is a scope for reduction. And also here the new factor is coming, which is called AC, that is automation cost. So one-time investment is there for implementing the automation process. So which I'm considering it as 5 lakhs. So when we are implementing automation, when you get the product or when you get the better efficiency with automation, of course, we can just think over it and then we can go for automation. So this is just for rough calculation. Yeah, then comes to cloud solution. So before jumping into cloud solution, what is automation and what is cloud solution? Whether I need to have both the things. See, automation is nothing but a macro level of management. So to make it in a clear way, the larger gaps we are addressing through automation. If we want to even address the small gaps also, then we have to go for a cloud solution, which is a micro level management. Say, for example, if I want to completely eliminate the workforce, I just wanted to move to automated facility, then automation helps us in achieving this. Even in automation, there is a possibility of small minor areas where even we will improve that. In that area also, we can get some big benefits. So there we can go for a cloud-based solution. If the industry is too big and then if we have a more number of equipments, of course, we need to have automation and then we need to have a cloud-based solution for monitoring the entire fleet of equipments, because monitoring each and every equipment with the workforce is a real difficult task, and then clubbing all the data and then analyzing all these things to get a conclusion is a very big task. As everybody knows that, as Mr. Varghese rightly said, that whether we are collecting the data, the first thing is that we have to collect all the data and then we have to do analytics. Then only we'll come to know whether this particular equipment is fulfilling the requirement or whether the process which we are following is up to the requirement. So when we talk about cloud solution, what are all the advantages? There is a visibility. So you will have a clear visibility about the equipment which is working in different parts of the country or different parts of the world. So by sitting into a common place or a centralized place or even on the go, you'll be able to see all the informations right from your mobile or even from the laptop by just logging into the system. Second is a reduced downtime. So when you have a cloud solution, how we can ensure that there is a reduced downtime? When you have a cloud solution, you will have a clear idea about when we have replaced a part or when we have done a periodic maintenance. So this system will automatically throw a pop-up or it will automatically send an SMS or email to alert the maintenance team or to the planning team for organizing the materials or for carrying out the maintenance activity. So that's why we can reduce the downtime. So whatever the critical alerts or whatever the problems that is coming in the machine or whatever the productivity that is being happened, so all these informations can be automated and then it will be sent to the concerned person, or we can configure to whom this has to be sent. The next point is data storage with traceability and statistical report. And this is a very major point. Now we don't have a data that is historic data in the server for doing analytics. So if we have some reference data, so now we have started this process and then we have started collecting all the information from all the equipments. So this will give us the base information or base data for doing the analytics, so that in case if something, some new projects we have to do in the future, so we can take this as a reference and then we can just consider inputs from this particular project, or even in case if for a particular product we want to do some improvisation. This will give us a clear idea about all these informations. And ERP integration. So say for example, the site is located in some place and then the supply chain. This is a complete supply chain management system. So if the planning team is sitting in the centralized place and then they are organizing the complete material for different site locations. So by connecting to the individual equipments to the centralized ERP system, this equipments will keep updating to the centralized system about the consumption of individual materials. Say for example, if there is a concrete batching plant, so there are multiple ingredients like aggregate, cement, admixture, water and other things. So of course cement and aggregate are the major components and which require attention for organizing the material in advance. So if we are taking 100 tons of cement and then 80 tons got over, automatically this system will send up a notification to the a centralized location, so that they'll be able to pre-plan the inventory. So the cloud solutions will also help us in making a supply chain. It's a closed loop system. And of course, we can do the efficiency monitoring of the system. Since these machines are completely connected with the centralized system, so we'll exactly know time to time whether the machine is operated with its fullest capacity, or whether it is being operated properly, or at what efficiency these machines are being operated, or what is the machine utilization. These data can completely be monitored. So this is one such dashboard where we'll be able to see production data, or the concrete produced data for a given period of time. We can manually configure, and we can see for a particular specific period of time. Like, say you can see here from June to December, what is the concrete produced. And at the right side, you can see for this particular month, what is the concrete being produced. So for getting these informations, earlier what we used to do is we used to take inputs from the site, and then we used to take all this information. But now everything was automated. Just with the internet connectivity, all these informations will be directly sent to the server. So we just have to log in, like how we are using our Facebook or Gmail. We'll have all the informations on the go. So this is another system where we'll be clearly able to see what is the utilization of this particular equipment. So here we have connected different equipments in the same platform, and we can see individually what is the utilization of the equipment for a day, or a month, or for a year, and also the efficiency, the overall concrete produced, or the overall production data for this particular equipment. So in what way this will be helpful? So when we are planning to expand our facility, so when the customer is planning to expand their facility, before expanding, they'll be able to know whether the existing machines or existing products are being utilized to the fullest capacity. So by looking into this, they can just plan to make this utilization in a better way, or they can really think of expanding their facility to in the new location. In case of if there is a deficiency in the efficiency, we'll be able to get the information because of what reason the efficiency is going down. All the critical alarms or all the error messages will be captured into the cloud system. So one will be able to easily understand because of what delay we are not getting the productivity. So by addressing only on those areas, easily we'll be able to improve the efficiency of this particular equipment. And not only that, even once we produce a certain amount of concrete, all concreting equipments, we know that either the maintenance will call for a number of running hours spaced, or the concrete produced, or it's a time duration, maybe 3 months after 6 months. So when we collect all this information in a cloud-based system, so we will get all the information about the productivity, the running hours, how much the run hours of this equipment. So we will be able to easily predict when this machine is likely to go for a next maintenance schedule. So before even maybe say for example, if the particular equipment has to be due for maintenance about 10,000 hours, or after 10,000 cubic meter of concrete. So at 8,000 cubic meter itself, the system will throw an intimation to the maintenance in charge, as well as to the product planning department, for organizing the maintenance related activity related maintenance related material. So next comes is an interesting part. So there are a lot of spurious products available in the market for the spare parts. So it's most important to understand why we have to go for a genuine spare part, and whether the spare parts is really giving a fullest life of the product which it is intended for. Say for example, the mean time between failure. So this is a very important calculation. Say for example, if a particular wear part, if the defined life of the wear part is 20,000 hours or 25,000 hours. So once we replace the spare part, automatically this will be captured into the cloud system, and we will come to know what is the exact life this particular spare part has given. So this will really help the customer as well as the OEM for understanding whether this particular spare part is given its fullest life or the extended life, or even they'll be able to understand whether they're maintaining the machinery properly. So that's why we can increase the productivity and the efficiency. So by cloud solutions, the transparency and then machine performance is very open, and then easily we will be able to understand. Second is remote monitoring and control. See, remote monitoring and control is nothing but in case if the concrete is very critical and then we don't want to do any changes at the site level. So what we can do is we can just transfer all the recipes or all the data from the centralized system to the site level. So the site person will only be able to start the concrete and then he'll be able to monitor it. He'll not be able to modify any of these data. Similarly, in turn, after producing the concrete or after producing the product, the machine that will send back the produced product data back to the centralized server. This is one such thing. Second is, in case if the machine goes faulty or if there is some problem with the machine, of course we cannot carry out any mechanical related activity online, but of course software related or any adjustment or any setting related activity can be connected online and then it can be seen. So by having a connectivity, we can easily able to control these equipments through remotely. So it's not necessary that somebody has to wait for the service engineer to visit the site, or we have to practically present at the site level. Just by connecting through the internet, we can easily able to do the changes, or we have to modify the program that can be easily done. So this is a remote monitoring and the control system. Next point is the additional benefit is a reduced human error. Of course, we cannot expect 100% repeatability or error-free operation when there is more human-based interventions are there. So when we go for a cloud-based solution and then automated solution, of course, that we can eliminate the human error. We know that already we have discussed a lot about operating cost, and then even Mr. Varghese also has rightly pointed out. So we have to work on the low cost solution. Now we have so many smart sensors and smart PLCs available in the market, which are very marginal cost. So for today's world, the cost of automation is not too expensive. So easily we can just go for it. Of course, the last but not the least, all these cloud solutions will not only help us to improve the efficiency, productivity in the other areas, but also at the back end for the OEM, in case if a particular part in a machine is repeatedly getting failed. So it will help the OEM to strongly analyze and then to study this particular part, and then what is the root cause for this particular part failure, and then they'll be able to come out with a solution. So of course, automation and cloud solutions are most important, and this is going to be the future. Once we have all these things in place, then coming days will be a revolution in the construction industry phase. So thanks for the time. That's it about my presentation.
Mr. Madhu,
1 minute. Can you stop your share?
Yeah, I am sure.
I'll stop it.
Yeah.
Sushil sir.
I think we'll request Mr. Chinnaswamy to give remarks.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I think he has come.
Chinnaswamy sir, Vice President sir, can you unmute yourself? Oh, I think he was. Sumit sir, can you unmute yourself?
Okay.
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Hello.
I can hear you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you all for giving me this marvelous opportunity. Also, would like to take this opportunity to offer my sincere apologies for delay entry because of meeting at PWD Chief Engineer's Office at Chennai. My special thanks to our beloved Mohanji, President, Sri V.G. Sakti Kumar, the committee chairman, and Sushil Agarwal and Sri Saurabh Agarwal, co-chairmen of this mechanization and modern technology committee, who made an effort to arrange this meeting with an informative and knowledgeable topic. As I have already made a late entry, I am not going to take any more of your precious time, and I am sure my colleagues have enlightened you people with their wide knowledge and wisdom in this field. Dear friends, it is a great pleasure for me to be a part of this forum to address you all about this topic, which is going to be the critical part of construction industry evolution. Today, technology is not the future, but also the need of the hour to sustain and grow business right from a petty shop to most complicated rocket sciences. That being the case, is certainly important for an industry which will account to 13.2% of global GDP as per statistics. It's none other than our construction industry. I think we have seen the transition of construction industry from completely manual to semi-automatic way to automatic at individual functional level. Some practical example in excavation, concrete, etc. The key challenges that industry faces today are labor and skill shortages, on-time project delivery as per planned cost and schedule and quality. Third, productivity, progress, and profitability assessments. Finally, safety issues. The intensity of these challenges and customers' expectations are going to increase over the period. To overcome the above challenges, it is very much essential to initiate the transformation for smart connected intelligence system like Internet of Things, machine learning, artificial intelligence, etc. In my perspective, artificial intelligence in construction is something like bringing in a human kind of intelligence for a system at project scope, taking inputs from various sensors in equipments, machineries, manpower, data points, right from planning, past project outcomes, real-time signals, etc., similar to how our sense organs feeds in for a human brain. Some of the areas of AI deployment possibilities are generative design, predictive maintenance. First, generative design. One of AI's greatest strength is its ability to explore many different variations of a model to find the best option. This is known as generative design. That has been extensively used in manufacturing and same can be deployed in construction too. Generative design could be useful for designers using BIM, Building Information Modeling. Is an intelligent 3D model based process that gives architecture, engineering, and construction professionals the insight and tools to more efficiently plan, design, construct, and manage buildings and infrastructure technology. AI would take a BIM model and explore tens of thousands of minor and major designs or design changes to make a design safer, more stable, or simply cheaper and faster to build. For a human to explore all these possibilities would require months, an artificial intelligence engineering program could do so in hours. Predictive maintenance. Artificial intelligence is very effective at analyzing historical data and using this to create likely forecasts of future.
Hello,
While
Aji.
While no technology has yet been designed to do the data that apps collect could feasibly be used to train a machine to spot patterns in maintenance issues and locations. Picture an AI system which assesses hundreds of thousands of damage or issue reports for different kinds of buildings over time, as well as information from IoT sensors. Eventually, it could possibly begin to predict when certain surfaces, fittings, or materials will become damaged or worn and alert maintenance team to this. Next, the project management. Construction projects frequently become delayed or experience cost overruns, even with skilled project managers overseeing them. However, academic research into artificial intelligence forecasting algorithms has proven highly accurate in estimating cost overruns of projects. Project managers could use artificial intelligence enhanced PPM software that identifies how likely their plans are to be delayed. This could help them revise projects and find ways to manage time and resources better. Robotics. AI construction robotics represent an exciting possibility for saving time and reducing risk. We are still a long way from a world of autonomous robot bricklayers, yet firms like Built Robotics are already providing bulldozers and excavators which can be given defined tasks and work alone. This kind of technology could save enormous sums of money and make projects progress faster. Imagine a project in a remote location that is difficult to get workers to. Remote diggers could work 24/7 clearing sites and get the work done much faster. AI enhanced drones. The drones are already being used on construction sites to give builders new perspectives on projects and progress. And now, firms like Skyscratch are training drones to understand what they are seeing. The artificial intelligence machines require large amounts of data to train algorithms to spot patterns. For example, an AI system that is trained to see laborers are wearing helmets would need to view millions of photos of people with different heights and different distances to know when to sound the alarm. Without enough data, this kind of training is not possible. Similarly, lot of project data will build the required modeling rule sets for the AI. Data points from IoT also enables the same, other than the advantages of the connected construction functionalities. Following are some of the tangible and vast applications of IoT in the construction industry. Correct?
Madhu has muted himself.
1 minute, sir. Yeah. Sir, now Mr. Anil Sonone has raised his hand from Ahmednagar for asking. We are going ahead with the question answer session, na?
Yes, very much. I think Mr. Kushivargis has left now. He has left now.
Sonone sir, unmute yourself.
वर्गीस सरांचा नंबर मिळेल का? सेल नंबर?
हो, मिळेल ना. मिळेल की.
Participants who want to ask queries can raise their hands using the facility in the app.
Yeah, but Madhu, Mr. Varghese sir has left, so we can ask a question to Mr. Gautam only, and we can send written questions for Mr. Varghese, which we can send him and then get the replies from him.
Yeah, we'll do that. Even there are not much questions in the registration form also.
Hmm. I think, Mr. Can we proceed now?
Sushil Kumar sir,
Madhu sir.
participants are requested to raise their hands using the facility in the app if they want to ask any questions. Mr. Gautam from StreamSweater will reply to those. Mr. Ram Kotaya has, yes, sir. Sir, unmute yourself, sir. Ram Kotaya, sir. So unmute yourself.
Everyone, I am very, very thankful to all my colleague members and thanks to Shakti Kumar and our National Vice President Chinnaswamy sir and all our members. I'm really, really proud such kind of meetings is needed to this organization a lot. I request only one thing, since long back we are having only one important issue, that is missionary bank. Missionary bank, I request Shakti Kumar ji, see, suppose if I buy a mission, then what is happening? I cannot sell that, and at the same time I cannot keep it idle. Like this, I have observed that a lot of JCBs is kept idle, lot of machinery is idle like this. I sincerely say cranes, all these things. So for this, some missionary bank if you can keep, because I observed this gold in temples, this is being taken by the banks as a deposit, and they are using it as and when it is needed, they are giving it back. Like that, this missionary bank is kept, then this is useful for us. Kindly suggest in that area, my dear sir.
Yeah, very nice. Nice suggestion.
Shakti Kumar ji, can you unmute yourself?
Who?
Shakti Kumar ji.
Shakti Kumar, sir.
Okay. I think I'm unmuted now. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Good evening to all of you. Thank you, sir. It's a very good suggestion, but this suggestion was tried sometime back, I would say 20 years back. NAC with the support of company like SRI and Larsen Toubro, and all of them came together to create an equipment bank. For some reason, it did not take off very well. I think they were a little bit ahead of their time, so it did not work. But in the meantime, what has happened is there are plenty of rental companies which are available, the common machineries and very specialized machineries. You mentioned the backhoe loader. Similarly, there are very specialized machines like cranes or piling rigs. Companies have sold it to the rental companies which are giving it out on rent, which construction company can take it on a short-term basis and use it. The bank concept can work very well if all the stakeholders are like-minded. I'm just giving an example, sir. In Vizag, a builders association want to join together and create a bank. I think it is possible to do that because the machines are going to be shared by the members and paid to the common pool. So that way it can be done much more effectively than involving an external party. This is my opinion. You can always tie up with the manufacturer to ensure that machines are available always in a working condition, or even you can outsource the operation to the the manufacturers, so that the machine is owned by a group of people and then used in aircraft. Many of the corporate companies are doing this. They don't have their own aircraft, but they pull together and then buy an aircraft and then use it and pay it as per their usage. I think similar concept can be done only if like-minded people are there. If you don't know the stakeholders, I think this concept may not work really well. This is my humble opinion about the equipment bank, sir. I think you can consider this, and we will come out with all support in giving you for the association an external price when you all join together and make something. And also we take the responsibility of maintaining and then servicing the machine also. So your responsibility is only to have a common ownership and then use it and then get it paid. So because collection is also a big, it's not an easy issue. Today we are reading in the paper, even very old companies who are there in the industry are also getting into problem with respect to their inability to manage funds and collection, especially. Sir.
One Mr. Vijay Kumar K has asked a question in the chat box.
Okay.
Now, what percentage of utilization in our country this technology? Mr. Gautam has replied to me. I think Gautam sir can require.
Yeah. Let him reply.
Ask, unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah. See, at present, the penetration of technology is only 10 to 15% in the construction industry. That is not because there is no technology available, but because of the connectivity related issues. So now we have more new network providers are coming into the industry for ensuring that the network availability. So in the coming days, we are sure that there will be the percentage will increase drastically, and there will be a steep curve in the technology as far as the construction industry is concerned. And also from Swingstutter, we take initiative in providing cloud solutions to the customer. So it's not that customer has to pay and try it out. We are giving a free of service a demo for a demo period, and customer can experience the cloud platform and the benefits they can experience, and then they can feel on their own equipments and what is the benefit that they can get. So based on the user experience during the demo period, after that they can go for regularizing, or they can continue to install for other equipments.
Thank you, sir. I think Mr. Ramkota sir, unmute yourself. You have raised your hand.
Shakti Kumar sir, thank you very much, my dear sir. Only one thing regarding this, only see, if I start in Vizag and Builders Association of Visakhapatnam, it is a very small area. Frankly speaking, I observed L&T is having a bank and they are making all the efforts and like that. See, since this machinery is becoming a very, it is like a puppy, we have to see that, because you are a very tycoon in this industry. I sincerely request only one thing. If you can make one committee together in your resume, in your term, if you can make one committee, and from Builders Association we'll keep one place, actually south, east, north, like that. Now 4 places is there, no, like that one place if you can keep, then we can collect all the things and we can keep it, and we can actually, any repairs is there, some workshop like that we can make. With this, Builders Association also is going to get some this one, because the rental will be decided by the Builders Association, the committee.
Mr. Kote.
This is the idea. In fact, a lot of crores of rupees is invested in the machinery.
May I interrupt you?
Is not taking
May I
much
interrupt
time.
you? Sir, may I interrupt you? Mr. Ramkote, I think we'll restrict ourselves to the question answer of today's webinar. We'll discuss this topic some other time. Maybe after this is over, after this question answer for this webinar is over, then we can discuss the other issues. Yes, sir.
I'm keen to answer you, sir, but Madhu suggested we'll do that subsequently after this program is over.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
I think before Sushil sir.
Yes, sir.
Sushil Kumar sir, before Mr. Shakti Kumar gives his concluding, President sir, I think would like to say something.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Very good, informative webinar we had. IIT professor explained well, and Gautam from Swingstutter has explained well. Maximum participants have attended this meeting. Sushil Kumar, articles from the speakers, 2 speakers, and if you give it to us, and we will print this in our Indian Construction magazine to make all our members to get benefited. And with this question answer, we will ask our Shakti Kumar for his concluding remarks. And Mr. Ramakotia's suggestion is very good suggestion. We will discuss this in a later phase, and I will discuss with even our Ramakodia ji also, let him give some proposal. We will do it, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Shall I go ahead, Madhu?
Yeah, please.
Okay, right. Thank you again, sir. I think the context was very well set by the president by talking about the unprecedented changes which is happening in the construction industry to manage our life better. So he put a very good introduction, and then what we found when Mr. Koshi spoke, the plethora of possibilities. Some are already existing, some are in the pipeline or in the research, and some are futuristic. He talked about everything, the possibilities which can change the way today we are running our operation in the construction sites. And Gautam already spoke about specifically to certain types of products like concreting products and what he is able to do with respect to managing the machine, the parts, and many things about even the resources, etc., etc. But I just wanted to take all your attention on a point. We are started feeling about all these things much more when the migrant labor issue started in a big way. I mean, a sort of doubt came to all our mind. What is going to be the scenario if these people don't come back and things like that? I'm not telling that this situation is over and finished. We will not have any more situation like that. Or I'm not predicting also one more will happen like that. But I just wanted to impress that it is important that we think about the risk which is involved in our business in the long term basis and be prepared for that. Why I call it as a risk? Because two things what Mr. Kosi pointed out, the level of productivity in construction industry going down, that he gave a projection, and also the absorption of technology. Such technology in construction industry is the lowest among all the industry. If you talk about medical, a robot can do an operation, laser operation for cataract, and it is monitored remotely also. I mean, there are umpteen examples all of us know. I don't want to sound very cliche about what everybody knows, but I wanted to tell that type of things are not there in the construction industry. So, if you look at what is happening in the environment in which we are operating, let us talk about the finance and the banking system. What it was some 3 years back and what it is today. The digitalization has happened in a big way. I mean, personally, when the purse in which I carried before the lockdown and almost end of the lockdown, I realized that I did not use the cash at all. So, this experience is there with us now. Now, the way we used to handle the cash for personal expenses all got digitalized in a very big way. And similarly, the other environment, the government also, with respect to tax or GST or any of these things, they are moving very fast. The reforms are happening in such a way, everything is getting digitalized. Even electricity boards and land documents, registration, etc., etc. So digitalization is one thing. Construction companies have adopted it very well when it comes to their finance and also their HR practices and a certain level of ERPs. But when it comes to the actual physical activity, what is happening in site, that is very difficult to do because, like Koshi said, but he did not very clearly point it out, doing things and informing to the computer immediately that I have done it. So there is a gap, and our sites are really chaotic because of so many variants which are there, which is affecting our day-to-day activity. So it is impossible for us to report on a online on-time basis. So this technology, what we discussed today, in a very big way will address that. It will automatically registers what actually happened. That is what in a nutshell. I mean, we talked about the possibility, we talked about what is available, but we missed out to discuss was this point, that we can record what we are doing in the site on real-time basis, and so that we know what is required for running our operation the next day, next week, or next month, be it resources or spare parts or what are other problems which are going to be. I just want to talk about one project in India today, which is connectivity of Chardham by rail network. RVNL is doing this project. I'm sure some of our members are participating in this project. This is all tunnels. There are a lot of tunnels are being made to connect the pilgrimage center so that to the Indian Railway network. The tunnels are excavated and then we are doing a lot of shortcutting operation inside. RBNL as a project owner, as a people who are owning this project, they wanted everything to be digitalized directly to them. That means today in a tunnel number so and so, package number so and so, they know how much of the work has happened, machine communicating directly to them. This is one of the condition in the tender. I think I see this as a tip of an iceberg. Soon, every project owner in the country is going to ask data directly given to the project management team of the department to know what is actually happening, not depending on the intervention of their own employees or the contractors at site. So this is one trend which I'm thinking is going to come very fast, and then we as the builders should be quite prepared for that. If you see the mechanization committee, we have been always talking about how to mechanize which are labor intensive operations into more mechanized form. Then the next level comes the automation of the mechanized activity so that we reduce the number of people who are really on the job site. Then comes this technology of IoT, which can help bring back the information and make our operations very productive. I feel, sir, this is the area which will give profit going forward for the any type of construction activities because the world is becoming competitive. Even the project owners are expecting big reduction in their implementation costs, and companies which are going to employ this technology will be more competitive in the future than the people who are depending on the traditional way. I'm talking about all the three: mechanization, automation, and also the digitalization in the form of operation. I think with that word, I would like to impress and request all of you to think about investing on the total process of digitalization, where this machine related activity, all the manufacturers in the country today have solution. It is now, we have one example here, Mr. Gautam presented about concreting, but it is almost there in every area in construction and mining. But the buyers have to insist and say, this is useful and I know how to make use of it, and then go for it. That is where this is a big gap. And I'm sure all our learned members are aware of this. I think there should not be any hesitation in going and implementing it. The costs are coming down dramatically because of the volumes are increasing in automation. I am sure the future is going to be, this technology is going to really help us. I just one final point. We are talking about 5G, blockchain, and this IoT, artificial intelligence, virtual reality. Many of the companies today run the training program for the operator on virtual reality basis. They have the whole machine set up inside a AC cabin and they operate so that they know how to not harm themselves, not the machine or the project site. Once they become too good and they keep doing it consistently, then they are given the real machine to operate in the site. So such things are really helpful. When 5G comes, your connectivity will become even much more better than what we are talking about today. And when you talk about blockchain, the data security also is going to come in a big way. So this are going to speed up all this process, what you are talking, in much shorter period of time compared to what we have been seeing in the last 3-4 years. I mean, all these things are not very old technology. Let us say with 10 years it started touching other industry. In our industry it is relatively new, but it is going to happen fast. That is my opinion. Thank you very much, sir, for participating, and the speakers and everybody. I will leave it to Mr. Sushilji now to have the final word of thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sakti Kumar ji. Today, our secretary Mr. Pradeep Nagvekar, he was supposed to be here with us. Somehow for some urgent work, he could not join us. So this responsibility has come to me. So I once again thank our beloved President for sparing his valuable time, and not only for attending, but guiding all our members and preparing them for future. I thank our Chairman Shakti Kumar ji for giving me free hand for arranging all the webinars. And then I thank our Vice President Chinna Swami ji, who gave us very good information and guidance about the necessity of this automation in construction. And most of all, I thank Dr. Professor Koshi Varghese for giving us a picture of future in construction. Like sitting here, we could see what is happening in the developed world, how they are doing the construction, and how we should go about it. So I really feel that there is a very urgency of interaction between institute and industry. All the research he discussed is quite relevant to our industry, and we are very grateful to him. We wish he could be with us for some more time, but due to some urgency, he may have left. I also thank Mr. Gautam for Professor Koshi gave us a total picture of automation and application of Internet of Things in construction. But Mr. Gautam, he gave us idea about what is available at present in that particular industry. So even most of us may not be aware of like what is available at present, like what we can do today. So we are thankful to him. Then we are thankful to all the participants, our members, non-members. There are some few consultants. There may be few students and government officials. I know one who has attended today's our webinar is Shri Pandurang Jadhav. He is a Joint Secretary Government of Maharashtra and is Nodal Officer for Amrut Mission in Maharashtra. So we are very happy that if some government officials also they join us for such webinar, we can have something more fruitful. Then I thank our Mumbai Center team, Mr. Mohinder Rijwani, Madhuji, and his team members for always being there and organizing all practical or work at the head office for making this webinar possible. So I think I thank you all. Madhuji, please.
Yeah, I'll unmute everybody. Anyway, you mentioned me, Panduro Jadhav sir. Panduro Jadhav sir has written in the chat, thanks to BI and Sushil Agarwal ji for inviting for this technology-based webinar. We are speaking of artificial intelligence in general, but its application in construction was not much known. Thanks for inviting and providing opportunity to be part of this techno seminar. Anyway, now 1 minute. I'm unmuting everybody so that they can share pleasantries.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
President sir, thank you sir.
Yes, sir, President.
Thank you.
Pradeep Chaudhary साहब unmute करो खुद को.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Madhu,
sir.
stop the recording first.
Yeah.